Good morning. All right. So yeah, I don't know what it was, but I just could not come up with a topic for class today. So yeah, I don't know if it was the way I slept or I don't have a brain this morning.
You're not that old. That's old folks are the ones.
I know, but now I'm not the young one either.
Oh, that's true.
How does that feel?
Kind of nice, actually.
We had a good, she hiked with us on Thursday.
Nice.
Saturday, that was good. And we got to kind of get to know
Mm-hmm.
Phil. Found out a lot more about Phil.
Yeah.
There's lots there. I'm not sure what he wants to know, but
So this is unrelated to Windows 10 because it was happening before Windows 10 started, but this computer's giving me a ton of issues right now.
your
So
laptop.
yeah, to the point where there's certain days where I just can't use it. An entire day of work that was, if I would have known it wasn't going to work, I would have set up appointments to go visit people and do things like that. But
You want to waste the time, huh?
an entire most of a day wasted.
So
So
that's what I'm considering. This laptop is, it's 6 or 5 years old.
yeah.
And it's getting to the point it's really sluggish. And
Mm-hmm.
considering getting a new one, because this is the one that's hung up and they can't upload for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yep. So this one's not that old. It's just had issues all along. The whole system crashed a year ago. So it's 2 years old. So after it worked fine for a year, except I couldn't ever upgrade to Windows 8.1. Remember when Windows 8.1 came out? My computer would never upgrade to it. All kinds of issues, but other stuff seemed to work fine. And then a year ago it crashed. And then now, a couple weeks before I upgraded to Windows 10, the Wi-Fi is not working right. Websites aren't loading. Programs aren't loading.
Right, so is that a Wi-Fi problem or is that the computer problem?
It's a computer problem.
Question for you, just kind of rapid.
Yeah.
On my Apple, the assistant's taking extremely long for it to load, so I'm running Google, and some people say, well, don't turn it off, just set it in the sleep mode,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is what I would do.
Yeah.
Some of the games will change for where you can change.
Just that it's
So I thought that
still
was-
technically on.
Right.
It's not really an issue per se, but
That's what it is.
there'll be some times when you'll have to reboot it to, if you install an update, it'll,
Yeah, I leave it plugged in, so.
right.
Yeah.
That way when I open the window,
Just enter your password. Yep, that's what I do with this one most of the time, except now that it's been acting so awful, it loads fine. Like boot up time is fine, but just opening and running things.
See any type of laptop that would be able to incorporate Windows 10 and Apple in one computer?
There, you can, on a Mac, is the easiest way to do it. It's much harder to have a PC and load Apple software into it, or the operating system. But in fact, a friend of mine, I think the way he did it voided the warranty.
Oh.
But because he completely overwrote, he loves,
So this requires a person with a lot of technical knowledge.
yeah, a decent amount. You'd have to partition your hard drive, which basically means virtually split your hard drive into 2 hard drives. And then you would install Windows on 1 hard drive.
Would it be possible to have an external hard drive with Windows on it,
I think so.
and then just plug it in to one of the ports?
Mm-hmm. You'd have to have it plugged in before the computer turns on. And then when it loads, and I don't know how it works exactly, but you would tell it it would ask you which operating system you want to load.
So the Windows client would be in a total separate external hard drive,
Correct.
but there'd probably still be issues in there with it.
Well, some of the things, the keyboards are different in minor ways. You have command, and we don't have command. Trying to think of some of the other.
I don't know what I use the command for.
Command is control on a Windows. So, Control A is select all on a Windows PC. Command A would be select all, or Command C would be copy, and Command V would be paste, whereas that's control on a Windows PC. So there, another option, certainly not putting it to sleep rather than shutting it down would do that, but that saves you time. That doesn't necessarily solve whatever may be going on, if that makes sense. So there may be something deeper that's going on. So anyway, I'm looking at getting a MacBook Pro to replace this thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Then when you become proficient.
Then I will be super proficient because at work, at home, everywhere, I'll be on a Mac.
You mean you're gonna retire to give Lewis a better?
This, it'll probably sit at home as a PC backup.
You can use them for other,
Yeah.
See, now this is the
you can still game on it and stuff.
Mm-hmm. As long as the program works. That's one of the issues.
Newer, bigger MacBook Pro. Look at the size of this. It's nice though.
Yeah. Yep. It's the one I'm looking at is a 15-inch MacBook Pro.
Same basic layout, except it's bigger.
Yeah, is that the 13-inch model?
Yes, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so it'd be the 15-inch. So it'd be a little bit, well, I don't know. This has such a huge bezel. I'm thinking the MacBook has a smaller one.
Well, it might not be that much bigger physically, just a
Right.
smaller bezel.
Yeah. So it would have, it's got the quad core. It's really weird, but anyway, it's got last year's processor, but it's a quad core as opposed to this year's dual core. So it's still technically better because four processors are better than two. So it has a quad core processor.
So does that mean it operates faster?
Yeah. And then it has 16 gigs of RAM, or it will have 16 gigs of RAM, which is what I would have liked in here. And I was actually going to do that to this until it started, because RAM's not that expensive. It's like 120. You can get it for cheaper, but I think the ones I was looking at was around 110, 120 bucks.
16 gigs RAM.
16 gigs RAM is.
In there, on the PCs, in there are 5 processors or 7?
Okay, now this one is.
No, so that's, you're thinking of the different designation of processors.
Yeah.
So there's the i3, the i5, and the i7 processors.
i7,
Yeah, the i7 is the fastest version, and then of the i7, there's dual core and quad core.
Oh,
Back to the Mac, I got OS X270, the newest one is Elgato 10, but that's not out yet, is it?
Correct.
And this is a 2.5 gigabyte processor and a 4 gigabyte memory. So
Yeah.
it'd be more than I need.
Yeah. So yeah, 4 gigs of RAM,
No, 2.5
2.5 gig
processor.
processor. I'm sure it's dual core, which is fine. It's fine for everyday
Yeah.
computing. Yeah, this would be a 2.2 gigahertz quad core processor, 16 gigs RAM. And then all the new MacBooks that they're releasing now.
Now, this is number of processors, 1. Total number of
Oh, it's a single core.
cores, no, 2.
2, yeah. So 2 single core, so a duo. All the new MacBooks, except there's one MacBook Pro left that is sitting kind of all on its own and you can't really do anything to it, that they're selling on Apple's website doesn't have one, but all of their computers have solid state drives. They no longer have the traditional hard drive. So the size of the hard drive is only 256 gigs, which is small.
Mhm.
But I have a terabyte
Well, yeah, you-
in my bag. I have a terabyte hard drive backup, so I'll just put, instead of leaving my pictures on my hard drive, which I don't really access all that often, and it'd be in my bag anyway, so it'd just be a matter of plugging it into the Mac. I'm gonna put all of my pictures and dump a lot of the files that I don't use anymore and all my videos all onto the external hard drive and leave just programs and things like that that I use all the time on the hard drive.
Is
But
there
still,
any
256
problem
gigs
integrating-
is still a lot of.
Any problem integrating all that stuff on your hard drive into the Apple that's being, that was generated on the PC or stored in the PC?
No, because most of the stuff that I'd want to keep are Word documents or
That's-
Office documents, I guess would be a better way to put it, since I'm not talking
that's
strictly
something
about Word. The only thing that wouldn't work, which is a big bummer, is Beck and I love Publisher,
Mhm.
and Publisher is only available on the PC. They even Office for Mac does not have Publisher, and that's because Word for Mac and what's it called, Pages, which is their Word document, act like Publisher.
Oh, okay.
But not quite
But
as
it's not the
feature
same,
rich,
yeah.
and it's not the same. So those files wouldn't transfer, so that'd be a bummer. So it's another reason why to keep a PC around the house. If anything, just to convert those over to something else maybe in the future if we needed them.
So I use Pages and I use their chart numbers.
Yeah, Pages, numbers,
Type of program,
and then Keynote is their PowerPoint.
their PowerPoint.
But the awesome thing, you know, you're sacrificing the amount of storage you get on the computer with only 256 gigabyte hard drive, but what you're gaining is speed. It'll be lightning fast, because the difference between solid state drives and traditional hard drives is a solid state drive has no moving parts, meaning it. Think of a traditional hard drive like a record, an LP record. If you want to go back to a different song, you have to pick up and move it.
Which one is this, the traditional?
Yeah, that's a traditional hard drive.
Now, the new one you're getting to use insert a CD.
No, they don't have CDs either. Yeah. Yeah, but we already bought a super drive, which is what Mac calls their.
Is that a plug-in?
Yeah, it's a USB.
Okay.
Yep. So we already bought those for our iMac at home.
So you, with an external device, you can plug in a CD.
Yeah. It's just a regular. You just plug it into a USB port.
That's an oldie, you know, way back when. mean,
I know.
like 15 years ago, that's how we used to,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a floppy. It
Yep.
was an external floppy drive.
I know. You can buy external floppy drives now too, because they don't make 3.5-inch floppies anymore. But you can buy an external.
Floppy drive.
Yeah.
And the smallest version.
But so much is digital now. Anything that, well, not anything, but most things that you buy nowadays, even if you buy them in store, it's just a code to download it from the internet.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I really haven't used my DVD drive much on this thing.
Yeah, I went back and I was looking at maybe buying a 7, you know, and then of course I agree with you.
For free, right?
Yeah, but the one limitation was a lot of the ones that were less expensive didn't have the CD drive.
Mm-hmm.
I should consider it, because I don't use it other than editing or creating DVDs and then sharing them.
Yeah, and you know, for the potential price you might save on the laptop with one without a CD drive, you can go to Amazon or wherever you feel comfortable buying things from, Best Buy, wherever. 60, 70, 80 bucks, however much you want to spend for an external.
Yeah.
And then you can leave it at home or leave it in your bag, and then if you need it, you just plug it in, which is why Beck and I have we bought the super drive for the iMac. And so now I've got that for when I buy the MacBook Pro.
Yeah, that would be interchangeable between.
Mhm. Yep. And the SSD, that's what iPads have. That's what iPhones have. Any smartphone, any tablet has flash storage.
So when my desktop crashed, I replaced it with a solid state drive. You know, so it is super fast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably never gonna replace it because it's not that heavy to use.
Yeah. And there are a decent number of Windows PCs that have solid state drives, or you can always upgrade and migrate to a solid state drive. But there are also some, if you don't want to go make that extra expense, because it's quite a bit more. And that's all Apple does, because Apple's always trying to only have the best on their products. What they can, and it is the best, but it's an increased cost because of it. It's the best. One thing that you can do, which is what I did with this thing, which I thought was awesome until it started bugging out on me in general, not this part, is this has a traditional 1 terabyte hard drive, but it also has a 16 gig solid state drive inside of it. And so it's only 16 gigs. And so the operating system goes on the solid state drive. And so booting up the computer and running any system programs do load fast. So this thing does load in about 10 to 15 seconds from being shut down.
Hybrid?
Yeah, it's a hybrid between the two. And some of the iMacs, like if you do get an iMac computer, the one that we bought, they call it a fusion drive, which is basically, it has a traditional hard drive, and it has a large, I think it was 256, maybe not that big, but anyway, also has a solid state drive also. And it wasn't that much more to get that feature. And the cool thing about the iMac with that feature is it automatically determines, based on your usage, what apps you use the most, applications, programs. So we're using Word all the time. It transfers Word to the solid state drive so that it loads fast. You know, if I'm always playing the same video game over and over again, it's going to put that video game on the solid state drive. If you're using
Apple feature, or is
they might have that feature available on PCs also, but this was an Apple feature. They call it a fusion drive, but PCs would have a different term for it. You know, just like Apple's call their HD displays Retina. You know, the iPad Air 2 with Retina display, or the MacBook Pro with Retina display. That's just another term for HD. So they just have their own terminology for things. So yeah, a hybrid drive or a fusion drive, or you know, that way you can get some benefit of having a solid state drive without putting the full commitment in buying. Because it was, I looked, it was $800 more to upgrade from, because you know, you can do minor tweaks in upgrading your processor and your RAM and things like that when you buy a computer, and they do that on the Apple website too. It's $800 more to upgrade from the 256 gigabyte hard drive to a terabyte solid state drive hard drive, which is extremely tempting, but not at that price point for me. I can't.
Buy a lot of external drives.
Yeah. Excuse me. Exactly. You can buy a lot of external drives for that amount of money.
Well, now with this, and Bob, like for your situation, if you were able to do a PC or system, you could have that on a thumb card. I mean, thumb cards now, rather than as compared to an external.
Thumb cards are big enough?
Well, thumb drive, yeah, they're 64, or, you know.
You can get pretty big ones.
That might be something at least to consider or compare cost and efficiency.
Yeah, I wonder, though, in addition to having that external Windows product, there undoubtedly would have to be some things that would have to be reconfigured in here to accommodate it, I would think.
No, because with what my friend did, let me start over with what my friend did in installing Windows and replacing the Mac operating system, that took a lot of tweaking and changing of like BIOS and other system configurations. By installing it next to, I don't think you really you don't have to do anything really other than install a program to allow both to run. I don't think there's really any tweaking of.
My problem is finding somebody that can do that for me.
Mhm.
I don't have the skill,
Yeah, and I've never done it, so I don't feel.
so I have to find a technical person. And I found it difficult to find technical people who are on Mac Pro.
Right.
Um,
Yep. Yeah, which is why they have which I know you've been to several times, and I know Mark goes there, the Apple Store in Tacoma.
Yeah,
And
that's the only
It's
point.
nice, but that's quite a distance to go for some tech
You
help.
might ask Mark, because, he just is in the process. I don't know that he's.
I don't know if he bought it or not, because he's
Yeah.
What was
gone
it?
already.
Well,
His Mac crashed.
So he went up to the Apple Store, but he's really current on his options.
What crashed, his Mac?
Yeah, his
Both
MacBook
of them, his
and
Bets and his.
Bets too.
What caused that?
He doesn't know, but
I
it
don't
was.
know. They couldn't figure it out. They couldn't even get it to boot to find out what happened.
And he was ready to go on a two-week trip. And
That's fine.
so he was using his iPod or iPad.
iPad. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Macs are not invulnerable to viruses, and they're not.
So do you think it was a virus? That
I don't know. I don't know if it was a virus or what. There's, and I have no idea of any of the other situation, but something to keep in mind for anybody's computer is you never want to fill up I know this seems weird because the whole point of having a hard drive is to fill it up, but you never want to have more than 90% of your hard drive filled.
So what do I find how much?
You would go to the little Apple icon in the upper left corner, Bob, and about this Mac, and it should tell you how much is free.
Storage?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we looked at that before, Bob, and I think you're only using maybe 10%, which means 90% is free. But
yeah, I've got 500 and 450 is free.
yeah. So you're only using about 50 gigs. I had that, my Windows, my Dell that I have, that happened before. And performance just drops. It needs extra space, especially on a traditional hard drive, to be able to move and do things. It needs wiggle room to do stuff. And if it doesn't have that wiggle room, it doesn't perform well. And what happened was there were so many junk files and so many, I found this out in seminary when I was using it. I had 18 gigabytes. So this was I think it's just a 60 gig hard drive because this is an old computer. 60 gig hard drive. 18 gigs of it was Windows error reports that never got cleared out by the automatic cleaning system. That, once it submits the report, it's supposed to just dump the file. 18 gigs worth of error reporting never got dumped. And I finally found a program, Something Tree, and it shows like a visual representation of what's taking up space in your computer. And Windows error reporting. So I did a Google search, and it said that file should be empty. And so I emptied it out, and I had 18 more gigs of space on my computer.
Faster because of that too, because every time you load or you turn it on, it loads all that.
Yeah.
It takes seconds to do it.
Yeah, but 18 gigs worth of that stuff takes time. But also what I was telling Sandy is the wiggle, I mean, these are technical terms, wiggle room. Because it's a traditional hard drive, any time that it writes new data, it goes to I forget how it writes, whether it's in, out, or out, in. But anyway, it writes to the furthest out, to the newest part. And so if you don't really have any room, then it's got to go all the way back to the center and find any gaps. Because anytime you remove a program or delete a file, all it does is just delete it exactly where it is, which is why it's also good on occasion to defrag your hard drive. because what your computer then is doing is it's finding all those holes that exist from deleted files, programs, etc. And it then pulls those programs, files, everything from the fringes and fills them in those gaps and tries to order them. But again, the problem with that is you may have something, you may have two files in the exact same folder, but on your hard drive, they're in completely separate places. And so that's part of one of the downsides of a traditional hard drive is that. And so with a solid state drive, because there's no moving parts, it can literally just send a signal to find that file, and it just goes and finds it wherever it happens to be on that solid state drive. And because there's no moving parts, as you know, if there's nothing moving, there's a lot less opportunity for it to fail. There's a lot less heat.
And better battery utilization.
Yep.
What a difference.
Yeah. So solid state's going to be continuing to move. It's going to move from something for higher end to it'll eventually become mainstream where everyone's putting solid state drives in their computers. The operating system loads faster, programs load faster, your files will load faster. You hear of hard drive crashes, that'll be one of those rare things that ever happens because there's no moving part to make it stop working.
Do you ever defrag solid state?
I think you can still defrag them. Yeah, and it would optimize performance, but I don't think it would be as necessary as it is for a traditional hard drive.
Yeah, our daughter came down and recorded Rena's, and she did a file cleanup, 'cause your waste can,
Yep.
when you delete something,
It doesn't necessarily go
it
away.
just is sitting up there in the waste basket, and you got a dump case there.
Yeah, I recently did that after I upgraded Windows 10, I did the little system cleanup, which does a little bit of all that.
Defrag.
Yeah, and I had like 25 gigs of junk of files in my trash can because I don't know, at some point, there's another weird thing that happened with the computer. On my desktop, I don't know where my trash can is.
Well, you have to,
No, but it's literally, I love having my desktop empty just so I can see the background picture.
Sure.
It's not there. I've clicked on the little taskbar to, because you can hide certain items on your desktop and show them, and there's little check marks. My trash can is checked to show the trash can, but I can't find it. I have no idea where it is.
Is it off the screen somewhere?
It's
I can't find it.
Well,
So I couldn't even empty it if I wanted to until I did the cleanup thing.
You're not gonna get to me, fight me.
Yeah, you will not empty me.
You wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
Just like this, I mentioned to you that my desktop finally got a message from Microsoft saying the reason they couldn't load Windows 10 was because my video card had not been upgraded by the manufacturer. But just think of the process that Microsoft computers are going through and analyzing everybody's specific. Other people have the same problem, right? But it took them 2 or 3 weeks for them to finally get to my computer and say, okay, the reason we can't load is because of this. Just think of the magnitude, all the computers in the world that they're going through and analyzing it.
So then what do you need to do?
And I went into Staples and they verified it, and because I had a contract on it, was buy a new video card, maybe the cheapest.
You should have a trash can on your desktop.
Brian and maybe.
See, it shows
How neat that you got that.
So,
That message.
finally, see, because I both, and this one I still can't, it's still analyzing.
So how do I do it?
It may be in a queue someplace where eventually they'll send me a message and tell me why they can't. Because it still tries to load Yeah, every day it goes through, because I have automatic updates.
Is
Every
mine
day.
just going out there?
Every day.
Sailing,
Mhm.
yeah. So, you want some coffee?
No, it's fine.
That's it.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I had so many gigs is because I had tried to I downloaded one of the technical previews of Windows 10, tried to install it on my old Dell, and those were like 10 gigs a piece.
Well, that, you think
Just
that
the one
could
that
install
you
like
have different files.
Potentially, I don't see it as doing that, but I would, I don't know if there's because I think we've looked at your computer before, Bob, and have done this for a Mac, Startup Programs Mac.
You would check it out.
Let's see what it says here. Yeah, but how do we go there? So you would go to your settings.
System preference? No, it's not.
Yep, yeah, system preferences, users and groups.
Users. And groups, okay.
And then click on the tab that says login items.
Login options.
Items.
Oh, okay.
Items, yeah. That's all you have on those things.
Not much.
So I thought we'd looked at that before. Startup items.
Not much. Make a lot of noise, I'm saying.
So yeah, I'm trying to see. It says that there's a program that you can run, but all it does is tell you what it does. It doesn't really, and it also looks like it's paid $5. There might be other programs out there, but it would be nice to find out why because your Mac's only a couple years old. It shouldn't be that slow, especially with another option, Bob, would be to buy or to download, at least for now, a free Mac antivirus program and see if there's some kind of, not necessarily a virus per se, but malware.
I wonder if I should just go and call it.
Or go to, that might,
Yeah.
if you're headed that way, it wouldn't hurt to write
Put
it
the top down and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, just head over there.
But you can always go onto the App Store, the Mac App Store on there, and see if there's any antivirus programs. Who do you have do you have Hood Canal?
No.
Comcast?
AT&T,
Xfinity?
I guess.
For your home phone?
No, CenturyLink.
CenturyLink.
Yeah.
CenturyLink probably does, though I don't have them, so I'm not familiar, but I know for a fact that Comcast offers free Norton antivirus for their customers. So right here, I get Norton antivirus for free through Comcast. And as long as I'm a customer, I get the latest version of Norton security. I would go to CenturyLink's website and see if there's, here we can look real quick and see. Is it CenturyLink.com?
You got the meeting that I got right now?
Another line,
temporary virus.
So, and again, it might not be a virus because, everything's working fine, but there's also plenty of what people call malware out there that could cause,
Do you ever use Adaware or those kind of things to clean, or do you?
I used to.
If you do CC, I mean. you do-
CC Cleaner, yeah, there's CC Cleaner, there's Adaware, there's Malwarebytes, anti-malware,
I
there's,
use Malwarebytes, and I don't know how good it is.
yeah, there's another one that IOBit has. There's,
But do those work with Apple also?
some of them do, some of them don't, and I don't know which ones off the top of my head. Clam something or something clam. WinClam? No, not WinClam. Maybe it's not that one, but I know there are some out there that are for Macs. Because again, they're way less likely, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're immune to that kind of thing. Especially, when you're searching over the internet.
Back to Century, like I'm there now, so where would I go? Home, Chrome?
Yeah, you go to your account and you log in.
My account, I probably don't know how to get to my account.
Well, you click on home and then you'd click on my account and then,
That's where I am.
oh yeah, it looks like
My account username. What's
Oh.
wrong with that, Pete?
Norton security downloads are not available for Macintosh computers through the CenturyLink installers. Oh, but Mac users can download a compatible not available for Mac computers through the CenturyLink installer. Mac users can download compatible antivirus software through the Norton store. Yeah, so you go to, looks like you click on this link and go to Norton's website, and it looks like, I don't know if it's free or not, but it looks like they might.
But it was a great time. Well, and Liz and Phil went too.
Maybe they don't offer it free at all from CenturyLink. Or maybe they don't offer it free for Mac use. That would seem rather, let's see what this says.
Liz and Phil here. Yeah. You can see how.
So it looks like there's $54 for a year subscription.
I'm stuck on even trying to call my account without being password.
Or $48.
Well, if there's an Oregon,
$48 for a year subscription.
Would it be my email address? No.
Yeah, it would be your email address.
That's my
Password. No, it should, your email address should be your login, and your password would be the password.
Whatever I have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, yep.
Mhm.
Oh, also.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So it doesn't look like they offer it for free, Bob. So you would have to buy something. But I don't know how that would compare to other programs on the Mac store.
It's login field.
Or if you've never logged into their website, you may have to create
Yeah.
an account, even though you're a
I'll
customer.
worry about that later.
Yeah. Any other, well, we've been mostly rambling all day, but any questions?
2-in-1 laptops.
Yes.
Are they that practical? I mean,
What is the 2-in-1 laptop?
Well, you can take the screen off, basically.
Well, there's different
types.
types.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's different types of 2-in-1 laptops. The first, yes, being ones that detach from the keyboard.
Like the Surface is on a 2-in-1. I mean.
No, a
Microsoft
Surface,
used to
a
have
Surface is a tablet.
Okay.
First and foremost, a Surface is a tablet that you can purchase an attachable keyboard for. much like my Mac, which I left in the other, my iPad, which I left in the other room, has a case, and the cover of the case, which protects the screen, is the keyboard, and it connects via Bluetooth, which is what a Surface does. So a Surface is, you can buy a really expensive Surface, I mean, you know, $1,500, you know, $2,000 price of a laptop, because it is so beefy that it works like a laptop, but it's got the portability and lightweight features of a tablet. But there are some 2-in-1 laptops that come with the keyboard, and then it just kind of snaps in and it works like a laptop. And with Windows 10, it's got the seamless tablet mode to desktop mode back and forth. Another 2-in-1, which was literally 99, I think every single laptop except for one at Best Buy when I went there the other day, every single one but one was a 2-in-1. Minus the Macs, and minus they had 2 gaming PCs in a separate area, which weren't that great gaming PCs, but anyway, irrelevant. Were all 2-in-1 laptops. And those laptops, simply, you just take the screen and you just keep bending it, and it fits flush on the back side of the keyboard.
Or you flip it. You said it.
Sorry. Yeah, you just keep smashing it until it just, you know, anyone can have a 2-in-1 laptop. So you keep flipping the screen until it folds flush with the backside of your keyboard. And what it does in Windows 10, which is really nice, in Windows 10, it automatically detects, like once you pass a certain threshold of folding it, it turns into tablet mode all on its own. You don't have to tell it to go to tablet mode. And then you just flip it over and it disables the keyboard on the back, so you're not pushing buttons while you're touching the keyboard while you're doing stuff. And then it turns it into a tablet. So it's thicker, it's heavier, it's bulky. But other things you can do with that type of 2-in-1 is you can fold it into what they're calling tent. I think Lenovo coined the phrase tent mode, I think, where you basically have it like that. And so it's, you know, you can stand it up to watch movies and things like that.
What about touch enabled? Is that good or bad? Or, I mean, it depends how you use it if you want.
Yeah, you know, if, for example, the reason why I went to Best Buy is I went shopping with Kara for college for a laptop. She never had one, so we went shopping and bought one. She wanted one with a touchscreen because she thought while she was in class, or if she had any digital books, that she can just highlight with her finger.
Oh, sure.
And that would be way easier to just do it with the touch of a finger than it would be to, you know, grab the mouse or the touchpad, click and drag. And so she liked the idea of the touchscreen. With a 2-in-1, it makes sense. I mean,
Because then you don't need the keyboard.
Yep.
So what did she end up buying?
She ended up buying a Dell 2-in-1. Had a terabyte hard drive, 8 gigs of RAM. The current i5, or was it i7 5th generation processor. So they're getting much more powerful. So are they practical? It depends on what you're wanting it for. If you don't already have a tablet, it's a good option to kind of bridge the gap between, I don't want to have a tablet and a laptop. I'd like to have one that does both. That fills that gap. But you're going to be paying more money for that 2-in-1 feature and for that touch screen. And so you're going to get less in terms of good hardware components, the processor, the hard drive, the RAM. You know, for that same price, someone could have gotten the 16 gigs of RAM instead of 8. And, you know, could have gotten a quad core, maybe not for the exact same price, but you probably could, for the same price, have gotten twice as much RAM, which for some people is really important.
What size screen is she?
It was a 13.3 inch, I think, screen. She didn't want something too big. She didn't want
I
a
was
full
just
blown.
looking at, Dell's clearance, or, you know, that, right now is a good time to be buying computers, I guess.
Back to school.
Because back to school,
Yep.
plus the new ones are gonna be coming out a little later.
For PCs, yeah. Yeah, Intel, I think, is releasing their new processor. This supposedly, well, they are, just no one knows when this fall, but one of the new processors. And all it is, though, is what did they call it? Brain fried. I think do they call it a die cast change or something? It's got a smaller footprint, basically. It's the same processor, but they're able to shrink it because a year later, they're able to figure out things that they couldn't do a year ago on the same or on a smaller size chip. So the chip will get smaller, but do the exact same stuff. And so that's coming out this fall. And so that allows for more space for bigger batteries or more RAM or, you know, different things like that. And so that's the importance of making the footprint of something smaller. So for example, the new MacBook that came out in April has, which I would not get, personal preference, but they were able to shrink so much of everything else that they were able to put like 80% of the insides of the MacBook, the new MacBook, is battery.
Hmm.
So the battery can last like
And
12.
what's the weight too?
It's minute. It weighs very little.
Well, but the battery is most of the weight.
Yeah, the battery is most of the weight. But the reason why I wouldn't get it is because it's got a mobile processor. So have you heard of netbooks? They're really not that popular anymore.
Yeah.
Netbooks used to run mobile processors, and they're just not that fast. And so it'd be, you know, it's meant for people on the go that are constantly traveling and constantly doing things on the go. And so it's lightweight, do simple word processing, can do browsing the web, can do, you know, Facebook and different things like that, but it's not going to do more hardcore tasks than a traditional laptop. So.
Here's
Where'd she get the best deal? For her computer, where'd she get the best deal?
She went to Best Buy.
Well, she can get service that way if she needs it, that's
Mhm.
cool and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Here's a 15-inch Inspiron.
Inspiron, yeah.
Yeah. It's an i5. It's got Windows 10.
Yes.
It's got 8 gigs dual channel. That'd be
Yeah, the dual
but
core.
It's got a terabyte, and that's $629.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now, because it's on clearance.
Yeah. Yep.
Touch enabled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. PCs are going hardcore into the touch, and the 2-in-1 does mean touch, but yeah, they're pushing really hard in that market right now.
Well, usually,
They tried really hard in the netbook market, and that kind of fizzled, and so now they're going into the touch 2-in-1. Your laptop is your tablet. And for a lot of people, that makes sense. You don't have to buy 2 different devices. You can invest, the $200, $300, $400 you would have put in the tablet. You can spend that much more money making sure you get a really nice laptop that doubles as a tablet. So, for a lot of people, that probably makes a lot of sense. One less device to have around the house or on the go, so
one less to keep charged.
yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't have an external hard drive, of course mine's traditional, so because it's cheaper, and you don't tax external hard drives, but you can always buy a solid state external hard drive as well if you want.
What if one of those costs was a terabyte, you know?
A terabyte solid state drive, external hard drive? It's a good question.
Oh, that's something you could plug into your.
Yeah.
With the thumb drive?
Just big things up.
Well, external, yeah, Newegg's a great website. 250 gig for $100. Terabyte for $400 basically from Samsung.
You know, that's one problem we've had on our laptops is, you know, luckily we had 3 USB ports, but they
Mhm.
wear out, or the connections aren't good. So on some of them.
Yeah, you know the
Because we
cheapest
gotta
one
get
is
plugged in,
$400.
plugged, you know, too many times and contact.
Oh yeah, the
They don't
USB.
fit tight and
Mhm.
so sometimes they don't fit.
Yeah.
That's one thing on your computer, Bob, is make sure you got USB ports, more than one probably. And Windows.
But they're also-
Apple's a little bit different on that, aren't they?
Yeah,
2 or 3 on
Well,
one.
there you go.
yeah, but they also have. I didn't realize they still had them, but they have. They still have Thunderbolt, which is an Apple connector, and they still have Thunderbolt ports. And I mean, I can't
Oh,
configure it to say I don't want Thunderbolt ports, but I just at this point in time I don't know what I would do because I don't have anything that has Thunderbolt. So anyway, yeah. All right, I think that's it for today.
Well, your brain did very well.
Well, thanks.
well, you, on the fly.
I can blab. I can blab fine. Just trying to think of something creative.
SSD port, you know, on the fly.